Of low descent, Odinga is the son of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the first Vice President of Kenya. After earning a master's degree in mechanical engineering in East Germany in 1970, Odinga returned to Kenya to become a lecturer in the University of Nairobi. He later left the university in 1974 and was soon employed by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, where he attained the position of Deputy Director in 1978. In the 1970s and 1980s, Raila was politically active and supported government reforms in Kenya. In 1982, he was accused of plotting against President Daniel Arap Moi and was imprisoned for 6 years without trial. After Odinga's release, he was twice arrested for campaigning against one-party rule, and in 1991 he sought refuge in Norway. He returned to Kenya in 1992. However, he was elected a member of the National Assembly that year under the banner of the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy Kenya, Ford Kenya, the party which was led by his father. After his father's death in 1994, Odinga became embroiled in a leadership struggle with the party and joined the National Development Party, the NDP. In 1997, Odinga stood unsuccessfully as the NDP's candidate for election as President of Kenya, but was also able to retain a seat in the National Assembly. He and the NDP therefore gave support to Moi and the rule in Kikuyu-dominated Kano. Odinga joined Moi's cabinet as Energy Minister in 2001, and the NDP was absorbed into the ruling party the following year, with Odinga becoming the Secretary General of Kano. Odinga's hope to succeed in Moi as Kano's candidate for the presidency in the 2002 elections was shattered when Moi called upon the party to support Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of the former President Jomo Kenyatta. Odinga and the Rainbow Alliance left Kano and formed the Liberal Democratic Party. The LDP soon joined with a coalition of several parties, the National Alliance of Kenya (NAK), to form the National Rainbow Coalition (NAC) under the leadership of the Vice President Mwai Kibaki. NAC's efforts to challenge Kanu were successful, and Kibaki was elected president in December 2002, the first non-Kanu president in independent Kenya's history. NAC candidates including Odinga won more than half of the seats in the National Assembly. After his election, Kibaki appointed Odinga as Minister of Roads, Public Works and Housing. LDP and NAC kept on differing over several issues, which they accused the President Kibaki for not keeping his promises. These differences led to the collapse of the NAC coalition in 2006. Meanwhile, Odinga had already formed a new coalition, the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, in the months prior to 2007. Kibaki formed his own coalition, the Party of National Unity, PNU. The ODM won a resounding majority in the December 2007 legislative election. The provisional results of the presidential election indicated that Odinga would be victorious as well. However, when the final election results were released after a delay, Kibaki was declared the winner by a narrow margin. Odinga immediately disputed the outcome, and the international observers questioned the validity of the final results. Widespread protests ensued throughout the country and degenerated into horrific acts of violence involving some of Kenya's many ethnic groups, most notable of which were the Kikuyu and the Luo. More than 1,000 people were killed and more than 600,000 were displaced in the election's violent aftermath. Odinga would therefore be named as the Prime Minister on April 17, 2008, to the newly created post of Prime Minister under Kibaki's presidency, and with the power-sharing cabinet. In the run-up of the 2013 elections, Odinga's ODM formed the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, called Alliance, with Kenyan Vice President Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Odinga remained politically active in the prelude to the 2017 elections. Odinga's ODM party and the other parties that were previously part of the CORD coalition allied with more parties to form the National Super Alliance. The new alliance backed Odinga for president and Musyoka for deputy president. The elections were held on August 8, 2017 and were generally peaceful. Before the results were announced, however, Odinga and the NASA members alleged that electoral irregularities had taken place and that the server of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission had been hacked. When the results were released a few days later, the IEBC announced that Kenyatta won the election with more than 54% of the vote and that Odinga trailed him with almost 45%. NASA had therefore filed a petition, although they had announced that they would not take their dispute to the Supreme Court. They requested the election results to be nullified on the basis that it was fatally compromised and asked that no election would be held. The Supreme Court decision announced on September 1 agreed that Odinga and NASA that the irregularities had marred the presidential elections. For the first time in the history of African democratization, a ruling has been made by a court nullifying irregular elections of a president.